Haiden. I'm a current graduate student here at East Carolina in the Human Development and Family Science Department. I use they, them pronouns, and I am involved in so many different student organizations here on campus. I'm involved in Omicron Delta Kappa, Psi-Chi, the Council on Family Relations, and most importantly, the LGBTQ Center. I'm the first person to be involved in all three different volunteer aspects. I am a peer facilitator, so I do trainings with students to how to become a better ally and what does that look like. I am a center assistant, so I work the front desk and give tours to people and just help volunteer at all of our events that we have throughout the year. And lastly, I am a student panelist, so I talk about my experience in being part of the LGBTQ community to different organizations, to different groups of people, just so they can hear firsthand what it's like to be a part of the community on and off campus here in Greenville. Yes, now I do. When I first came into my identity, that is something that I really struggled with, is coming to terms with that identity. I felt like it was such a heavy term, so I didn't use it at first. But now, as I've come more into my identity and come more into the LGBTQ community and the trans community, and just hearing other voices and reading more about it, I have come to terms with that label. And sometimes I use them interchangeably, but sometimes I will combine them and say like trans and non-binary together. That's a good question. So I feel like life in general is just very hard to be part of the community. There's so many different barriers that life is being thrown at us, especially right now in 2023 with our political climate, and it's just really hard to live yourself with all of these barriers. There's so many different policies and procedures and state legislators that are preventing you from being who you are, and are attempting to prevent you from being who you are. And those policies and procedures impact people's thoughts and practices at the individual level. So we experience homophobia, transphobia, and just general discrimination. And so I feel like that can be the hardest part, is just dealing with all the hate and still coming out of it with a positive aspect and a positive mindset. I have so many thoughts, and none of them are positive. All of the legislation recently that has come out has been primarily negative, and it's just heartbreaking to read as a trans person. It's heartbreaking to read of all of these laws and bills that are preventing LGBTQ people from living their authentic selves. And it's also really heartbreaking from a graduate student, from a researcher, to hear all of these facts and claims that are not backed by research. These lawmakers are not listening to all of these people in charge that know what they're doing and know what they're talking about, and they're not listening to them. And that's the most frustrating and hurtful part of all this, is they're just not listening, and they're not going to realize the impact that these bills and laws have on the individual level. They're not going to realize the damage that they will do to people's mental health, to people's physical health, when they enact these laws. And it's going to be on them, and they're not going to do anything about it. I think there's so many good reasons why they should be visible. One, it's just they're human. They need to be shown, and they need to have their voices heard in all aspects of life. It just leads to less discrimination, less hate crimes, less hatred in general. And it's a good way to celebrate their voices and to celebrate their stories, because being trans and non-binary is hard every day, and we should celebrate the resilience that the community has. Yes, so I have started socially transitioning as well as medically transitioning. So socially, like I said, I started to come out to friends and some family members, but mostly just my chosen family here at ECU, my professors, all the people that I work with, like my bosses. But I have not come out to my family, as I mentioned, so it's, like I said, it's an ongoing journey. But then I've started to medically transition. So I have got gender affirming care through the Pride Clinic, and what that looks like for me is being on hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. And so for trans masculine people, that is getting on testosterone, so I get a little vial of it every week and inject myself with it, and it's been the most welcoming and affirming thing that I've ever done. The space, the Pride Clinic, is very, very affirming and very nice and welcoming and supportive, and just mentally, internally being on testosterone has alleviated so many mental health problems and alleviating my gender dysphoria, and I wouldn't change a thing. My one piece of advice is just to live yourself to who you are. Be yourself and don't let anyone stop you from being yourself. Find your social space. Find someone who can support you wholeheartedly and without judgment. Find a community that you can be a part of that that supports you for whatever that may be. Find your chosen family if that's something that you want, and just live your life without fear. I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but just be who you are.